Hey and namaste, friends. How are you today? Today in Sweden, it's National Day. So it's a holiday, so I'm at home, relaxing and just chilling out. I think later tonight I'm going to go and have a swim. So today I'm going to talk to you about the fact that there are no perfect relationships. There are no perfect relationships. I think this is a subject that I wanted to talk about because when I see clients, especially clients that are in couples, they get stuck in the fact that they believe that their relationship is bad because they're having arguments or they're having some problems. And as a result of the problems that they're having, they want to break up. They think about moving on, finding somebody else, starting anew. Well, I think for me, there are no perfect relationships. There are no perfect relationships because every relationship goes through problems. Every relationship has arguments. There are no couples who agree with everything that each other does or says 24/7. That's impossible. Okay? Why is it impossible? Well, it's impossible because we are individuals. We are two individuals that come together to form a couple, to be in relationship with each other. Okay? And then when we're in that couple, we think that everything is going to be perfect. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be blissful. We're going to understand each other. We're going to trust each other. We're going to love each other. We're going to care for each other. And it's going to be smooth sailing throughout the whole phase of the relationship. Well, I think that's wishful thinking. Very much wishful thinking. And I think it's maybe possibly even naive to think that your relationship is going to be perfect or that you're going to have an understanding of each other throughout the course of your relationships, or that there won't be any arguments at all. Okay? So the first thing is that you are coming to a relationship as an individual. So think about the age that you possibly come into that relationship. Maybe you're in your 20s. Maybe you're even in your 30s. Sometimes you can be in your 40s and 50s. But let's take it that you're in your 20s, around 25 years old, and you come into your relationship with another person who is also around 25 years old. Okay? So what you have to think about is that you've had 25 years of life before you met this person. 25 years of potential struggle, 25 years of disappointments, 25 years of building the blocks that make up the person that you are. Okay? And those blocks can have negativity in them. Of course, it can also have positivity, but there can be negativity that's built up within the framework of who you are. Okay? You have your programs, the programs that you've grown up with. You have your family background. You have your education. You have all the aspects of yourself. So if you think about 25 years of, let's call it baggage, you'll come into your relationship with 25 years of baggage. Your partner is also coming with 25 years of baggage. That baggage can be anything whatsoever. Okay, there's so many things that can build up into making that baggage. And then you come together in a relationship and you expect everything to suddenly become perfect. You expect everything to be totally smooth. You expect to understand each other at every single level. You expect that you're not going to have disagreements, or you're not going to argue. Everything is going to be pink, fluffy and rosy. I laugh because this is really what we believe. And then when we start to get problems in our relationships, we start to feel like, oh my God, this is a terrible relationship. I need to be out of this relationship. I need to be with somebody else. Well, think about that. So you leave one relationship, you jump into another relationship with a person with all their baggage. So now you're coming with more baggage because, you've got baggage from the relationship that you've just left. And now you're going to enter into a new relationship and expect that to be perfect. Can you see the pattern? Can you see what I'm trying to get at? The point is, there are no perfect relationships because we are dealing with people. We are dealing with people. people come with problems. People have issues. People have loss. People have grief that they haven't dealt with. They have pain that they haven't dealt with. They have familial issues that they haven't dealt with. They have issues with their parents that they haven't dealt with. We have all the stuff within ourselves. We're not confident with ourselves. We potentially hate ourselves. We don't like our level of education. We feel rejected, have felt rejected throughout our lives. Have so many potential issues that we have within the framework of our bodies when we come into partner relationships. And that other person is also exactly the same. They have all of their issues, their stuff. They could be the same as yours. They could be opposite to yours. But there is a criteria that attracted you both together in the first place. And that criteria is that you have most of the same things, because like attracts like. So if you find that you are feeling rejected in your relationship, it's likely that your partner is also dealing with some form of rejection in their framework of their bodies. Okay? Because we attract who we are. We attract the same sort of persons to ourselves that we actually are as well. And remember, we are attracting from the inside out. We're not just attracting from the outside. We think that we look at somebody else, they look really pretty and, six packs all over the place and their, beautiful face and everything. That's all the external stuff. What's actually going on inside? What is it that's happening inside of that person? And the thing that's happening inside of them is what is calling to us. And that's what's making us attracted to them. Okay, so it's not just about the physical outside looking. It's also about what's happening inside, because the inside is much, much stronger than the outside. Okay, so that leads on to how when we think about this, we think about consciousness. Okay, we think about the conscious mind and we think about the unconscious mind. So your conscious mind is all about what you look like. It helps you to feel good about your external you, the way that you look, your hair, the way that you dress, your body, how you look after your body, all that sort of stuff. But the internal, the unconscious, is all the stuff that you haven't dealt with. It's all the programming that you grew up with, the programming that is actually leading you to make the decisions that you make in your life, connected to different aspects of your life. For example, your relationships. The unconscious is much, much more powerful than the conscious, because the unconscious is also something that you're not aware of. Okay, you're doing stuff unconsciously. You are almost on autopilot. You make the same sort of choices when it comes to picking a partner, and that partner always turns out to be the wrong one, for example. Okay, the reason that you're making those choices, you're making them unconsciously, because you have programs within yourself that you are not aware of. You have thoughts about yourself that you are not aware of. You have decisions that you've made about yourself that you are not aware of. And consequently, this is leading you to make decisions on autopilot without you being consciously aware of why you are making those decisions. Okay, so it boils down to awareness as well. So everything I talk about is all about you. It's about the inner you. It's about reaching into, discovering, learning about the inner workings of your psyche, of your body, of who you are. Okay, because when you start to understand what's going on inside of you, you can start to understand why you are attracting the partners that you are attracting. Partners that potentially are not taking you forward into where you want to be in your life. If you're a person that wants to have children, and you are attracting a partner who tells you immediately, I don't want to have children, there's something going to be wrong with that. That partnership will not last. Okay, it won't last because you have different views, you have different aims. You want to go somewhere, your partner doesn't want to go the same place as you want to go. Then it's going to be difficult. There's going to be conflict, and potentially you can sacrifice the thing that you really want, i.e. you can sacrifice wanting to be a mother or a father because you want to be with that person. But ultimately you are going to sacrifice a big part of yourself. So if the relationship does work and you're getting on with each other and you're having fun, there will be resentment that builds up, and in the end someone will lose out, and that someone will most likely be you, because you are doing something that you truly don't want to do. You're with a person who doesn't want the same aims as you, doesn't want the same end result as you. Okay, so if you find that you are, for example, a person who wants to have children, but everyone that you meet is telling you, I don't want to have children, that means you have to look at what it is that you truly want. Do you really want children? You might want children consciously, but what's the unconscious you saying? Remember that the unconscious part of yourself is much, much more powerful. It's much stronger than the conscious mind. Okay, so this is something that's really important, and this is a tip that I'll give to you if you are looking to be in a relationship but you're finding that your partners are always saying something to you that you don't necessarily want to hear. And a lot of the time our partners are very clear with us right from the beginning. They're very clear about what they want, but we choose not to listen. Okay, because it's more difficult to actually listen to what they're saying, because then we have to take some action that we potentially don't want to take. Our partner tells us I don't want to be a father, or I don't want to be a mother. We don't want to hear that, because that person is so perfect for us. They're so gorgeous. They're so wonderful. We have so much in common. I love them so much. And so you turn off that part of yourself that heard what they said, which was, I don't want to be a father. I don't want to be a mother. And then later on, you realize that this is causing you problems. You start to argue about it. Okay, so when you hear that, listen to it, because it's the truth of what that person is saying to you. If you choose not to listen to it, that's up to you. But then you can't blame them later on when they keep telling you, I don't want to have kids. You can't blame them later on, because they were clear with you right from the beginning, but you chose not to hear. All right, and this is something that we do, something that we as human beings do, because we don't want to hear that which we don't want to hear. But then we can only blame ourselves when our partners, start to play up, and we start to ask things of them that they don't want to give us. Okay, so this is a tip that I will give you. What your partner tells you right from the beginning is very important, because as I'm telling you, that we attract from the inside out. So if your partner is telling you that they don't want to have kids, and you feel like you really want to have kids, you need to look at whether it's true that you really want to have kids. You may want to have kids consciously, but there's some unconscious block that's stopping you from having children, or actually really feeling that freedom in the fact that you actually do want to have children. Okay, because the partners that you are attracting are telling you they don't want to have children, and that is also telling you that unconsciously you also don't want to have children. Okay, so if you want to have children, it's something that you're dreaming about. You need to look at the reasons why you are attracting partners who don't want to have children, who are telling you that they don't want to have children. Because then there's something that you need to be looking at. So partnerships are very, very interesting, because the universe is trying to show you all the time in the partners that you are attracting to yourself. Okay, so if you find that you're attracting a similar type of person all the time, and that person is always behaving in a similar type of way, it means that there's something about you that you need to look at. Because when you change what's happening within you, you will start to attract something different to you. So that's something that's really important for you to have the awareness of what is going on in your attraction of partners. Are you attracting people that are telling you, I don't want to be in a relationship, I don't want to be in a serious relationship, I don't want to get married, but you feel like you want to get married? Then it's telling you that deep down inside you don't want to get married. And then that means that there's something that you need to look at. You need to open up your inner workings so that you can understand what it is that's stopping you from really wanting to be married. Okay? So going back, there are no perfect relationships. Okay? There are no perfect relationships. The grass just looks greener on the other side. We've got friends who, when we see them, they look like the perfect couple. They look so happy together. They don't look like they argue. They seem to laugh together, and they enjoy their time together all the time whenever you see them. But you don't see what happens behind closed doors. You don't see what happens the moment they go out of the public domain and they are in the house with themselves. Potentially they don't talk to each other. They have nothing in common. They are not having intimacy. They are arguing constantly. Okay. There are no perfect relationships because we are dealing with people. Everybody has something with them. There is no person who is, fully clear of all of their issues, childhood issues, past life issues, whatever it might be. We all carry within our framework, within our bodies, hurts. And those hurts come out and misbehave in the most terrible ways when we're in a partner relationship, because it's our partner that has the potential to trigger all of those unhealed hurts that we have within us. Okay? Our partner pokes at them, makes fun of them, and we get triggered. Our ego comes up. We feel upset. We feel angry. We feel hurt. We feel that we're not being listened to. We feel that we're not being heard. We feel that our opinions are not valuable. We feel that we're doing things by ourselves, that we don't have companionship. We feel rejected. Our partner is somebody that we see 24/7. We spend a lot of time with this person, and they become the most important person in our lives. Because of that, they have the potential to trigger us in lots of different ways. They trigger all the things that are already there. Our partners are not responsible for what we have within us. All our partners are doing, they are triggering those things that we already have within us. Okay? But we tend to blame. We blame our partners. Oh, you said this and that made me feel like this, and you did that and that made me feel like that. We tend to blame our partners. Our partners are responsible for all aspects of our happiness. But what I'm going to suggest is that our partners have nothing to do with what we have already inside of us. What we have already inside of us has come from all of our years of growing up, from the moment we were conceived until the present moment. Of course, our partners contribute to that as we progress in our partnership with them. They do contribute, but they are not responsible for the core of what's there. The core of what's there is your responsibility. It was you that put it there, unconsciously. Okay? So when it comes to actually healing, we have to do that work ourselves. So when we find that we are being triggered in our relationships by our partners, it's not up to our partners to do the work for us. We have to look at what it is that's triggering us all the time. What is the talk that goes on in our minds? What is the mind chatter that we have after we have an argument? How do we feel about ourselves after we have an argument? Do we find it easy to say sorry? Do we find it easy to apologize? Or do we, sit and sulk for a week before we can even speak to our partners? All of those behaviors were there before we met our partners. All that happens is that we just continue that behavior. Okay, so there are no perfect relationships. There are no perfect relationships because we are not dealing with perfect people. Everyone is imperfect. We come with all of our imperfections. So the point is, how do we make our relationships work? I think the most important aspect of relationships working, and I'm talking about relationships where there's no violence, where you're not feeling pushed down. Your partner is not being physically, mentally, or psychologically violent to you. Okay, so these relationships are something totally different, and I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the normal relationships where you feel that you can communicate with your partner, but there's sometimes a breakdown in communication and you argue. You're feeling some distance from each other, and you're thinking about whether you should be in that relationship or not. Okay, in that situation, what I'm saying is, look at yourself. I'm in a relationship myself. My relationship is not perfect. We argue. We get into disagreements. I get triggered. I scream and I shout and I swear. My partner does the same. Okay? But what's important for my relationship and for what I'm trying to say is that once you've made a commitment to each other, are you committed to being in your relationship? Do you want to be with that person? If you've made your mind up that you actually want to be with that person, then you can solve any problem. Okay? But if you're thinking that the grass is greener outside, and that you're looking for somebody better, then there's going to be a problem. Okay, but if you are committed to each other and you know that this is a person I want to be with, then it's going to be a lot easier to actually continue in your relationship when you have a problem. So when problems arise, the thing is to realize that a lot of the time it's not about your partner. A lot of the time it's about you. Okay, your partner has triggered something within you and has made you upset. Your partner hasn't made you upset. The thing that's within you already is making you upset. Okay, so if you can understand that, you will stop blaming your partner and you will start looking at yourself. Okay, when I get into a conflict with my partner, I always start to have a dialogue with myself. I ask myself, what is it? What was it that got triggered? What part of myself is upset right now? My ego always jumps up when there's a conflict because the ego wants to protect some part of myself. Okay, so when I strip back the ego and I look and I try to see, what part of myself was vulnerable in that moment. What is it that made me feel the way that I felt? Was it down to my partner? I have that mind dialogue with myself, and 9 times out of 10, I'm able to see that it was something within myself that got upset. It's annoying. It's annoying when that happens because then you can't blame your partner. Then you realize that it's down to you. But when you can do that, when you can look at yourself and see, which aspect of yourself is being triggered here, you'll start to realize that there's nothing you can blame your partner for. And it becomes easier for you to say sorry. It becomes easier for you to apologize. And 9 times out of 10, if you apologize, your partner will also apologize. And then you can go back to being in harmony again until the next time. And of course, what I'm realizing also is that the more that I work on myself, the shorter time it takes for me to come back to my equilibrium, that place of feeling myself. Because when we're in conflict, I go up, I come down, there's tears, there's shouting and screaming and, swearing and all sorts of things. But what I'm finding is that the more that I'm looking at myself, the more that I'm looking at, what aspect of myself is being triggered here, the shorter time it takes before I can come back to equilibrium and I can say, I'm sorry. And the shorter time I can start to feel, that aspect of love and companionship and togetherness that I feel with my partner. A few years ago, 3-4 years ago, it used to take me a week. And sometimes it could take my partner 2 weeks. We would have a long period of time where we were, upset with each other, didn't want to talk to each other, avoiding each other. But the more that I'm starting to look and realize that it's actually down to me, the shorter time it takes. And so we can have a blow up. And for me, within 10 minutes, I feel, okay, it's over. Blow up is over. I see what it was that was triggered. And then, the drama's finished. And this is what makes relationships a lot easier. And this is, if you stay with your partner, you'll find that, as you get older, you'll start to understand each other a lot more because there's less and less stuff that's being triggered. The more that you're working on stuff, the more that you start to see that it's you, the less you start to blame your partner, and the more you start to realize that it's down to me to do the healing of myself that I need to do. Equally, your partner needs to do the same. Of course, if you have a partner who doesn't want to do the work, then it's going to be a little bit difficult. But still, you can still be in a situation where you see what's happening with you. You'll also start to see what's happening with your partner. And then you can have a little bit of compassion for the fact that they're not able to see. You can help them. Okay? So I'll say it one more time. There are no perfect relationships because there are no perfect people. We all have our flaws. We all have our issues that we come into our relationships with. And it takes time and commitment to make your relationship beautiful. It can be beautiful once you're committed to being in that relationship, because that will help you to learn more about yourself and in the end to learn more about your partner as well. Okay, so I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you found some information that's useful. My name is Jacqueline van der Pooy. If you find that this video is interesting for you, please subscribe. You can click the button down here, subscribe, like and share with your friends. Okay, so I'm Jacqueline Vanderpool. You can learn more about me at www.calloftheinnervoice.com. Thank you for listening and namaste.